Hello, and welcome to my first Lorcana Rise of the Floodborn pack opening video. For those of you who don't know, Lorcana is the Disney card game, and this is the second set of it called Rise of the Floodborn. The packs I'm opening today are one full booster box, meaning that there is a guaranteed, I believe it's 4 guaranteed legendary rare cards within the box. Which means that we will find some good stuff throughout it. At the moment I'm just going through some of the commons. You will see every pack being opened. Leave a comment if you'd rather me sort of make the video shorter. I think this video is going to be just over 15 minutes, so if people are more interested in just seeing rares and above, in the future I will do that if that's what people are interested in. So far though, we've got the rare Merlin card, which is pretty cool. It works based off things being added back to your hand, so within the game there's a bunch of new Merlin and Madam Mim and Arthur cards that all say that when something is, either they add something back to your hand or do something when they are removed from play, which counts from being added back to hand. That Merlin card gains 1 lore every time a card is added to your hand from the field, which means that if you have him on the field you can play a bunch of the Madam Mim cards, quest with the Arthur card and add something back to hand, and then quest with him for potentially 3, 4 or 5, rather than just the one he normally quests for. Purple is quite an aggressive deck, so that's basically how it works. The first super rare being pulled here, which is Peter Pan's Shadow. An interesting card. I'm not sure if it will see much play, partially just due to it being uninkable, but it does have a decent effect, which could make it see play. Yeah, there are some other cards, obviously, you'll be seeing now. There's one of the Merlin cards, the common that's just there, which, I'm trying to remember exactly what that one does now. I believe it allows you to look at the top card of your deck and either put it to the top or bottom when it's played. And again, you can then use that to effectively stack your deck. The first legendary we get here, Alice, she's a very interesting card. She gives every other character support, which means that she can be used for clearing boards of things that are very big, like the new Goofy card, or for questing herself for large amounts due to her other ability, which is that if she has a certain amount of challenging power, I think it's just called power, then she quests for more. I like the idea of using her with the new legendary Pete card, which, whenever you play an action, gains power. Because if you were to use a bunch of the cheap actions like Nothing to See or Develop Your Brain, which are 1 costs that allow you to draw, the Pete card becomes very big. You can quest with him, put his support onto Alice, and then quest with her. So you're suddenly questing with 2 cards for just under 10 lore, I believe. I believe it's 9 lore. Another really interesting card here, the Winnie the Pooh. It's from the first, there's a card called Fishbone Quill that allows you to ink an additional card from your hand every turn. Winnie that allows you to do the same thing, but he also quests, which means that he has more of a value than Fishbone Quill, because he can also just allow you to get closer to winning the game, not just via helping you reach your normal win condition. One of my favourite cards in the set, the Honey Wizard, Winnie the Pooh. Just a very pretty card. I'm very happy to get one of them as a foil. I know it doesn't do a lot, but it's just a nice little collector thing to have. Yeah, the set was very fun to open. I opened it with my dad on this video. I was on the right, my dad's on the left, so we opened it together. There's another one of the Merlin cards. That one is much more of a win condition because it allows, whenever you play it and whenever it's removed from play, it adds 1 lore. For those of you who don't know, the idea of Lorcana is to be the first player to reach 20 lore. You can either play it as a 1 vs 1 or as a multiplayer game mode. So having the ability to play and add that back to hand repeatedly, getting to and boosting your lore while enabling your other cards to do what they want to do is very interesting. The Cogsworth there actually got put on the wrong side. It should have been put on the bottom right, not bottom left. It's a super rare, not a legendary. But again, a very interesting card. It gives every other one of your characters resist, which means they take 1 less. Resist 1, which means they take 1 less damage. Yeah, which is very helpful. It also has ward, meaning it can't be chosen for the target's effects. Another super rare there, also put on the wrong side, it's the Lady Tremaine. I can't remember what she does. I haven't looked into red or green as much because they're the decks that they're the ones I'm not using. but some of the cards are interesting, like I said about the Green Pete earlier. The main idea of this set is the Floodborn cards, which every character has certain tags. So, for example, the 7 Dwarf cards have the tag of 7 Dwarfs, and I believe Ally is the other one they have. There is an example of a Floodborn card, that Beast, is actually a legendary. It's in the bottom left. You can see I've moved the super res over to the bottom right. There's a bunch of cards in the game, but actually one for every colour, that effectively says whenever you play a Floodborn, do something. So for green, it's the Squirrel from Emperor's New Groove, can't remember his name, who says that whenever you play a Floodborn, your opponent discards one. The purple one is the Blue Fairy, which is whenever you play a Floodborn, draw a card. The steel one deals 1 damage, the blue one inks the top card of your deck. So they all work within the sort of primary game plan of that colour. An interesting thing is that while most colours have more of a certain thing, so I think every card with the Inventor tag is blue. Most cards are the princesses, not all, but most of them are amber. The nice thing with the Floodborn cards is there's exactly 6 in every colour. There was 2 from every colour in the first set, and there's 4 of every colour in the second set, which means that you will always be able to build around it if you want to. There's different ways to utilise them. Some of them are cheaper. For example, that Beast it's a 5 cost with Shift, so if you get a cheaper Beast, he's much easier to play. The easiest one to play is the Queen, which I believe I only get 1 of in this box. Which it was a little bit upsetting because I need 4 of it for one of my decks. There is another Floodborn card, and here is the best card we packed in the entire thing, the Enchanted Rare Sisu. It is worth a lot. I will show a video of that card, a picture of that card at the end of this video, because it is just beautiful. I do show it in video at the end, but I also had a picture of some of the best pulls that we got. At the time of recording the audio for this, I have traded a couple of them away, like that bell, so that will not be in the picture. I might have taken a picture before, actually, so you'll see at the end of the video. Another rare I actually really like is Mulan. It's whenever she quests, you look at the top card of your deck. If it's a song, play it for free. The song mechanic in Lorcana is really interesting to me because it's the only mechanic they have that no other card game has, which just sets it aside very much from other card games, which is really interesting. As you can see, we've moved a bunch of the commons out of the way at this point, just to make a bit more room, because they were starting to get a bit hectic. Here's a really good super rare, also a Floodborn card, the Cinderella, I believe it's called Knight in Shining Armour, I could be wrong about that. But her effect, she has resist 2, so she takes 2 less damage from everything. She quests for 3 and has 5 attack, 5 power and 5, I want to say it's called courage, the health points. She also can attack active characters whenever you play a song, which makes her a very, very interesting piece of removal for certain cards. One card she cannot remove is that Goofy. I don't think the card's actually very good. It's very big. It's the 10-10, which is the biggest card in the game without any doubt. But due to the high amount of resources it takes, being 9 ink, and the very simple fact that it can be removed very easily, it doesn't have ward, it doesn't have resist. If you attack into it enough, it dies, and cards like Dragonfire from the first set will just banish it instantly. And also the Inventor cards here, like the Flaversham, are really interesting. They are all based around items, which are also quite interesting. They are cards that stay on the field when you activate them, but you don't necessarily use them straight away. Unlike actions or characters, they cannot be... Unlike characters, they can't be attacked, and unlike actions, they stay on the field unless their effect says otherwise, but their effect will usually be free or cheaper than the cost to actually play the card. This Mother Gothel one, that's only an uncommon, but it's a very interesting card, along with cards obviously like Rapunzel, obviously being from the lore of it makes sense, but she comes onto the field with 1 health left. but then Rapunzel can heal her back to full, which makes her a very strong card. Speaking of strong cards, that Prince John, which has gone into the rare pile, is a terrifying card to play against. It says that every time your opponent discards a card, you can draw one. So if you play that along with Steel decks and play A Whole New World from set 1, the first chapter, you can activate that card, make your opponent discard their entire hand, and then both players draw 7. If your opponent discarded a hand with, let's say, 4 cards in it, you draw the 7, and then you draw an additional 4 due to his effect, which is terrifying. You can build around it very, very well. That green bell that was just in the legendary pile is very good at it, and so this beast I just wanted to talk about very quickly. A foil legendary is very, very nice. The card's worth a lot more than I expected it to be. I'm actually playing it in my deck now. I'm playing Sapphire Steel Ramp. I was meant to be playing 4 copies of the 5-cost Cogsworth, but I really like that beast as well, and I have it, so we'll put it in the deck for now. Anyway, what I was saying with the legendary Bell card, when it is challenged, your opponent discards their entire hand, which means that you can basically just put it there and quest with it. If your opponent doesn't have some form of removal, there's very little they can do, especially if you play something like the 5-cost Aurora from set 1 that gives everything a ward. The only way they can get rid of it is by attacking it. So they have to attack it, they have to challenge it, which means that it's very much easy to activate its effect. Green also has some very tricky cards like the Queen, the evil Queen from Snow White that was just shown in that I just put in the bottom right underneath that Raya card. She doesn't have a law power. I don't believe she might actually have a law value, but she has another ability, which is that she can exert herself and discard a card to gain that card's law. So with cards like the, I don't think we actually see in this video, I can't remember now, but there is a card called which is Flynn Rider. He has a law value of 4, but loses 1 law for every card in your opponent's hand. Because he's not on the field at the time of activating it, when the Queen discards him, you just gain 4 law. It doesn't matter about how many cards your opponent has, which makes it very interesting. So just going through some of the more commons, cards like Launch are interesting. It's a form of removal for Sapphire, which I didn't really have access to, especially for item-based decks, well, specifically for item-based decks. This Madam Mim card's very interesting because she is a Floodborn with Shift, meaning that you can play her very quickly, especially with the other Madam Mim cards. Another card for the same deck is that Merlin, getting that as a foil. It's very nice. Again, we just cleared the commons, uncommons, and the rares this time out of the way just to make a little bit more room, as they do take up a lot of room. That card as well, I cannot remember his name. He's from Raya, I believe he's from Raya and the Last Dragon. When it's played, he banishes an item from the field, which is very helpful against certain decks which play them. This Cinderella is very nice to only get 1 copy of because it is a very, very good card. It's a 1-cost with Singer 3, meaning she can sing songs as though she is a 3-cost card, which with cards like Friends on the Other Side from the first set works very, very well because you can draw 2 cards with no ink cost on turn 2, which is just very, very strong. The Pete card in the top right, the rare I was saying about earlier, I was thinking he was higher rarity because he has an enchanted. It's a very interesting card. I believe he gains 2 power for every item you play. This Prince Philip card works very well with the Queen I was saying about earlier in Sapphire Emerald decks, because he has a high law value, so when she discards him, you just gain that law. And with some, not specifically with Sapphire, but with Amber, with high cost cards, there's a lot of cards that allow you to add things back from the trash to your hand, from the discard pile to your hand. Sorry, I've also been playing One Piece, so my brain gets confused around the terminology of each game. On to the second last pack now, getting Mulan, Sword in the Stone. This Raya card is very interesting as well for Shere Khan aggro decks. The only copy of the Firefly, I can't remember his name, Ray. The only copy of Ray we get in this entire box, was just shown by the way, is a common, and only 1 copy is very strange to me. my favourite artwork in the set. I want that card as a foil so much, the Cheshire Cat. It's just beautiful, the way that it's a very cool character anyway, but the way it looks with the tree branches and stuff in foil just looks absolutely beautiful. So the last pack, we obviously get some more commons. There's actually quite a few items in this deck I need to look through. A 1-cost Flynn Rider, which is nice to be able to play the bigger one, which I was thinking about earlier. This Cinderella card we got, this isn't the first copy of it we've got, but it's a very, very good card, partially because of the shifts Cinderella that I said about earlier. It just becomes a very, very strong card. And then for the rares in this pack, we get the Floodborn based blue card, which says that you ink the top card of your deck every time you play a Floodborn character. And I can't remember his name, but he's the King of the Swingers. Yeah, there's the Sisu, just trying to center it on the camera. An absolutely beautiful card, very, very happy to have packed it. It paid off the box, which is amazing. Anyway, that's the end of the video, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and leave any feedback you've got in the comments below. Thank you very much. Bye.